Hi, I want to talk about a chord progression. Specifically, a chord progression that I like to play if I am practicing some R&B music. It's 5 chords, and these chords are not terribly hard to play. What they are A minor, D minor, G major, C major, and E7. Now, there are a lot of different songs that you can sing over this chord progression. Here's one, right here. This gonna be the hardest thing I think I ever had to do. Got me talking to myself, asking how I'm gonna tell you about that chick on part 1 I told y'all was sleeping with, creeping with. Says she's 3 months pregnant and she's keeping it. That doesn't sound bad, right? But it could probably sound cooler, or at least more unique, or at least more colorful. One way that I like to color this chord progression is just by removing some fingers from some strings and adding some fingers other places. Now, I'm not talking about changing the actual chord that you're playing. I don't want to take the A chord and transpose it to something else. I want to keep the progression the same. I want an A chord going to some type of D chord, going to some type of G chord, going to some type of C chord, and ending at some type of E chord. Now, the first chord, the A minor, super sick chord because when you get to the end of the progression, the payoff, the resolve, it is magnificent. Here's that E7, right? Lots of tension, right? And here it is going to an A minor. Oh, it feels right. It feels like you're at home. It makes you happy even though it's a minor chord. Now, that sounds perfectly fine. That resolve, that A chord is cool, but I'm still going to mess with it. And I do this by just turning that A minor into an A minor 7. And it's super easy to do. You just pull your finger off of the G string. Now, this will produce a very, very subtle change. So we're going to play it and try to hear it. Here's an A minor. There's an A minor 7. Here's an A minor. There's an A minor 7. It's subtle, right? It's not the craziest and grandiose change. It's very subtle. But what I like about an A minor 7, for me specifically, there's a pocket that my voice can kind of sit inside of. It just works better for me. Now, the D chord. The D minor is a very solid chord to just move you through this this progression. It's a really cool transition chord. What I like to do most of the time, though, is take that D minor and turn it into a D minor 7. Again, we're talking a slight subtle change. You might not even be able to hear it. Here's that D minor again, and here's a D minor 7. Very subtle, but for me it makes all the difference. Alright, the G chord. Now this is where, as far as this progression goes, where you're about to see some real movement, some actual change in everything. And of course, that's happening because you're going from minor to major. We're going from that D minor to that G major. Here's what that sounds like. D minor, G major. There's a lot of movement there. It feels like there's some real breath. It's very bright. But it's too bright for me. I need it to be a little more subdued for my voice. So instead of a G major, what I like to sometimes play is actually a G sus4. And that sounds like this. I'm still getting that major feel to it, but it just feels a little subdued. It just feels like it's sitting back a little bit. It's still moving me through the progression, but maybe at a slower pace. That transition this way sounds like this. Oh, still sounds good. Still going minor to major, but it just, I don't know, it feels different. Now, another way that you can play this G major chord is you can keep the same shape, really, just a regular G major shape, but instead of playing that high E, you don't. You don't play the B string either. You just play the first 4 strings. You play that low E, the A, the D, and the G. That sounds like this. You're still getting that major sound from the regular G major. It's just not as bright and bubbly. So instead of this, just don't play those top 3 strings. Don't play that high E or that B. Do this. That's how you can color some stuff. Okay, the C chord. This is probably going to be my favorite change, just because it involves my favorite chord. So instead of a C major, we're going to play a C major 7. The way you do that is just by pulling your finger off of the B string. So instead of this, you're getting this. Oh, I'm going to play it one more time. Instead of this, you're getting this. Ah. It is still moving you through the progression because it's still a C chord. It's still getting you through everything, but it's just got such a different tone and feel to it. It feels mature. Like C major, this is what I learned in school. C major 7 is what I learned in the alley behind the school. It's cooler. It sounds a lot better in my opinion. That E chord at the end, we're not going to touch that, because if I start moving that around too much, playing with the shape, the resolve won't be the same going to the beginning of the chord progression. I don't want to shape that E7 into something else, really. Alright, so I'm going to play the new, slightly altered, colorful chord progression. What I'm going to do for the G chord is play it the way I described, where I just make the basic regular shape, but I just don't play the high E or the B string. Alright, here's what that sounds like. It's gonna be the hardest thing I think I ever had to do. Got me talking to myself, asking how I'm gonna tell you about that chick on part 1 I told you I was sleeping with, creeping with. Said she's 3 months pregnant and she's keeping it. The first thing that came to mind was you. Second thing was, how do I know if it's mine or is it true? Third thing was me wishing I never did what I did. How I ain't ready for no kid, and bye-bye to our relationship. Now, I think that sounds significantly better than the way I played the chord progression towards the beginning of the video. Either way though, a super easy R&B chord progression would be A minor, D minor, G major, C major, and D7. Bye-bye.